Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 270 of the Thought Team Navigating Now Virtual Roundtable Series. I'm Anthony Ewing, co-founder, chief brand officer here at Thought Team, and we are casually here in the Chicago headquarters with some new seating, some new energy, some new folks on the team here today, and we are talking about the future of work.
Yeah, live from HQ.
Live from HQ, yeah, a lot going on this week. We've got the entire team here in Chicago to get together and collaborate on some of our biggest projects, some of our biggest client work, and to have a little bit of fun as well, too. We are always focused on how the landscape is changing in front of us, not just in terms of how it's going to impact us as an organization, but how it impacts our clients. And so today, we're going to be inviting a handful of folks from across the Thought team to submit their hot take, their perspective on where we're headed in terms of how we work and how we connect. And it's a conversation we're having every day, so we thought we would share it with you all. And I am first joined by none other than Molly Sutherland. She is our Associate Creative Director here at Thought Team. Molly, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. Good to be back in Chicago.
Yeah, what is now you're coming from working remotely most of the time.
Yep.
You fly into Chicago probably 3-4 times a year. What is tell us about a week here at Thought Team when you're in town and the entire company descends upon our headquarters here in Chicago. What is that like?
It is the most beautiful chaos. It's so fun, especially coming in and everyone's getting in at different times. You know, there's just little pockets of excitement anytime someone walks through the door, which is really fun. And then really awesome to collaborate in person. You know, like you'll see people in the heads down space, you can find that, but then also like I particularly love being able to come and do some jam sessions in person, do some block walks with everyone, and really build some of that connection and also just some of that moving the work forward that planned and unplanned during the time.
Yeah, I haven't heard everybody's perspective that they're going to share here today, which I'm really excited, but I really hope that somebody addresses the fact that the future of work does involve human-centered connection and face-to-face. This week is a perfect example of what has always made work so much fun and so productive is when we can get in one space. We are not sequestered to, a laundry list of Zoom meetings, and we can just run across the hall and ask a question or grab somebody and make a decision. We believe that the future of work really does have space for interpersonal connection and face-to-face. And we have a hybrid model here at Chicago. It's working really well for us. It works well because we invest in 4 or 5 times out of the year, bringing the entire organization in one space to capitalize on what we do best, which is connect as humans. So Molly, start us off. Tell us about the future of work from your eyes.
From my eyes. So I'm kind of thinking about the design lens eyes. And for me, the future of work, you can't talk about the future of work without talking about technology, AI, and that is definitely contributing in design. But I also think the future is very tactile. I think in design, it's really getting back to whiteboards and Post-it notes and sketching things out and getting out of constraints of a slide deck or the one computer screen. We were in a jam session yesterday with, markers and paper on the table, and you can't get that kind of ideation, converging ideas, like going kind of outside of the box and then coming back together when it's just you and a screen. If it's just you and an AI model, I think there are a lot of benefits to AI kind of helping in a design realm. But I think the more that I'm kind of in that, the more I'm also craving stepping outside of it and finding those times to really embrace more of that tactile, just like thinking with the ideas, being one with them.
We had a great conversation about, as big and expansive as AI seems to be in terms of like its impact on our work, it is still limited to a single line of text that you input to get all of this generative output and artwork and memes and YouTube thumbnails. It's still, the input is still a single line of text. And so you put that up against, 3 designers in a room like yesterday, where the medium was not a single line of text. It was complete white space, and it was hands-on, and it was drawing and sketching. and it just feels differentiated in a world where now everything is prompted in a text box. And so I think one of the things that you're going to hear here in the future of work is that some of this old school, more tactical, more human-centered work that we do is going to become, it's going to feel almost premium. It's going to feel different.
Yeah, I think about when we set up our materials list for offsites now, 90% of those materials are Post-it, Sharpies, pens, hand clappers, flip charts. Like, it is really getting back to that, like putting ideas on paper, and then take those to AI and work through them and like figure out how to. But I think that coming back to that tactical and just getting things out on paper is a premium, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. We were just joking yesterday that of all of the things that we have shipped and carried and toted to these, 2, 3, 4 day offsites that we do with, every level of the organization all the way up to the C-suite, the number one material, right, of all the things you do, all the technology and the virtual and the hybrid, is a 75-cent hand clapper that we hand out. And, folks just love to, put on their peers or vote without, technology, or even just make a little bit of noise in open space. So the future of work is definitely tactile. And I love that that's a priority for you as a designer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's fun. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're going to pass the microphone on to our next Thoughtium leader. We have Amanda Lobo. Good
Hi.
to have, look how casual.
You asked for casual.
Sat down.
I'm serving casual.
You definitely are. You definitely are. Amanda is our director of people and operations. She heads up really, everything from our culture. She's kind of the culture keeper and designer. She's also runs our recruiting, our employee experience. I mean, what don't you do for our people?
Not much.
Yeah, not much. Exactly. So I'm actually really interested on your take, with people at the center of our organization, and I know our clients, what does the future of work look like for you?
Yeah, I think the future of work is nonlinear careers. Ooh. So hang with me. Yeah. So historically, back in our day, if you will, right? Climbing the corporate ladder looked a lot like that, right? You develop skills in a role, you move up, and you continue to progress that way. It's like climbing the rungs, right? But there are a few things kind of challenging that model in real time. So that model assumed a level of predictability and stability that is being very challenged right now with evolving job security, layoffs, AI. We just don't have that same security. So that's the first thing. Second thing would be people are optimizing for different things today, especially this younger workforce, especially working parents. People are wanting flexibility. People are wanting optionality. People are looking for more values alignment. It's not just title and comp that people are looking for in their careers today. Yeah. And then the last thing I think that's kind of driving this is the way that we build capability looks differently today, right? You guys live and breathe this every day. I think that the most meaningful development experiences happen in like the lived career experiences of people, right? It's the ambiguity that you have to navigate. It's the teammates that you get to surround yourself with every day. It's maybe being asked to lead before you're ready for it, right? And so I think that we're going to start to see companies that are going to do really well with this are going to balance the frameworks, which are important because it shows how you move through an organization, like finding that balance of leveraging something like a career leveling framework, but also with the fact that we have to invest intentionally in these types of experiences. And I think careers are going to look more like a portfolio of experiences versus just like climbing that rung by rung.
Does that shift the onus a little bit more on the employee?
I think it puts them in the driver's seat. Yeah, in a great way. Yeah.
Could be a challenge for some folks who want to step into an organization and really have that path laid out for them. But I think that's a very healthy challenge.
I think it's a healthy challenge.
A little bit more autonomy and control of their own career.
I think there's always going to be pathing, right? You have to have some sort of, people have to understand how they can progress and grow. But I think I don't think we should be limited to that. And I think if we stay within those constraints, it's actually going to get challenging for people like the builders that we employ here. Sometimes people want to live and need to live outside of that. So
one more question for you. We've kind of coined this term. When we talk about AI, we're acknowledging that we're kind of at this intersection of doom and delight.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of negativity around AI, but we're also like, we as a firm, even our eyes are being open to the possibility of AI as well too. in terms of like our employee experience, like, has it shifted the way that you work with our employees? Like, how are you calming the nerves if there is a narrative out there?
Yeah.
Like, how are you thinking about even positioning, the potential threat or the opportunity of AI amongst our people?
It's funny, in our organization, we believe so heavily in human centricity. We believe like AI is a part of the equation.
Yeah.
We are not replacing our people with AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're freeing us up to do what matters, but like it's not even a buzz in our organization because we know that humans, that is the advantage, right? That's like our whole thing. And so it's funny, that's not even a thing here
I love
because AI is not threatening someone's role here.
Yeah.
It's actually creating more space for them to do what matters.
We just in the last quarter, we had a very conscious decision to make on whether we were going to double down on our mission of designing and delivering human-centered experiences, or whether we were going to kind of follow the industry. And
we're an AI consultancy now, guys. Good news.
AI transformation partner of choice. And I mean, even just saying that, like, it's not us. It's not us. So I love that answer of like, we just continue to lean into the work that we exist to do. And that shows up in the way that, we even connect and gather. I mean, this week is a perfect example of it. I don't see any AI agents in this room.
Not yet.
Did we just say that at the same time? I hope no one else is listening. All I see is, just a lot of, practitioners that are really passionate about their work, and like, we're really pumped to get together in person.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you for leading that. Thank you for leading
our
culture.
Of course.
And I think we're going to hand the mic over.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Awesome.
All right.
You got the hand clappers.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sitting here with Lila. She is a consultant here. She's a director here.
Yes.
Associate director. Yeah.
Just promoted.
But she's also at the front lines of a lot of the work that we do, and particularly a lot of the more innovative work that we do. So, what does the future of work look like for you as somebody who's really designing and delivering a lot of the value that we create for our clients?
Yes, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
For me, the future of work is more creative, more connected, more personal. And I was listening to Molly and Amanda, and it had me thinking a lot about the Industrial Revolution, actually.
Okay.
So if you'll, humor me a bit.
Yes.
Thinking back to pre-industrial revolution, right? People's work was very tied to their identities, right? People were blacksmiths, they were farmers, they were carpenters. There wasn't necessarily that 9 to 5, right? Work was more project-based in a sense. And there wasn't such a rigid structure around work. Industrial revolution comes along, of course. We have the introduction of the 40-hour work week, the 9 to 5. People are doing work that's a lot more task oriented. And you then thinking about today and like the technological shifts, obviously AI, big conversation. But I think what it's doing is freeing up a lot of that time that we would ordinarily spend doing more of those task oriented tasks and then frees us up to do more creative thinking. And so I've even felt this shift in my last 5 years in L&D of being able to have more of that time to do some of that higher level, like innovative thinking about how are we bringing things to clients in more creative ways? How am I spending more intentional time with clients? How am I becoming a better storyteller? And that's not to say that I don't use AI to do those things too. Of course I do. Ideal state, it's a partner, not replacing my creative thinking, obviously at Grift, wherever you are. But yeah, I think that's part of it. That's kind of the creative and connected collaborative piece. But then there's also this personal piece as well that Amanda had me thinking about too, which careers are becoming more personal. And so it's coming almost full circle in a sense of like thinking back to those blacksmiths, carpenters, farmers, that's your craft. And what we talk about here is like our practitionership. And it does feel very personal. And so I think what's happening is technology is kind of allowing us to, when we have the world at our fingertips in a sense, it's like, oh, what do you do with it? Hopefully something that matters to you, hopefully something you're passionate about. And I think in that way, our work is again becoming more tied to our identities. And so, yeah, coming a little bit full circle in a sense, which is maybe a more exciting, if not a little bit scary world to live in.
So Layla's at the front of, again, some of our more, I guess, like edgy, innovative work as well too. So I do want to bring up the fact that like we are incorporating technology into to bolster the human-centered experience. So like,
Right.
speak to something like simulations,
Yes.
which you know, at face value could be seen as just yet another technology, but for us, we're actually leveraging simulation technology to make the human experience or the learning experience deeper, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm thinking about the most recent simulation that we did. That was a sales simulation that we did for a sales kickoff down in Savannah, Georgia, a few weeks ago. Super fun. This was we'd done sims before, but this was the first time that Thoughtium had leveraged a digital simulation platform actually to host the simulation itself. But that's not to say that folks were just in that digital platform the whole time. Like, very much so the opposite. Brought everybody in person to Savannah. We had 4 big rooms of like 100 people each. People are at tables, they're in person with each other, they're working in teams, it's competitive. Not only do they have the digital simulation tool, but there's also, sound effects going off, there's music, there's the facilitator on stage, or some people had, props, costumes, like people really make it their own. And so what was really fun about that was we were able to do a project like that in such a condensed amount of time, and then had a lot more time to think about, okay, well, how are we going to make this more fun? And so that's what's been enjoyable too about getting to leverage that technology, but also bring our little Thoughtium spin and twist to it. Yeah,
it's so cool. It's like we're bringing this new technology, but we wouldn't put 300 people behind a computer at their house. We would rather actually bring them together in person, and then let technology create more space for them to to have the real conversation. So Layla, thank you so much for just building on this perspective, and as well like being such a big part of our collective practitionership here at Thoughtium.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate you. Okay, who are we bringing in next? Oh, all right, we're bringing Carson in next. Hey, thank you. All right, well, we want to welcome Carson to the couch. Apparently, this is a new podcast couch that we have here. Carson is what, 3-4 days into your tenure here?
Day three. We're cruising though. Yeah.
Carson is one of our newer directors here at Thoughtium, and Carson, welcome to the team. Yeah, and thank you for jumping in here day 3 to add to the perspective. As you kind of face this inflection point in your career, and you're joining what we would consider one of the more human-centered organizations here in the industry. What's your kind of outlook on the future of work, and how would you like to bring or put your own fingerprint on it here at Thoughtium?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to preface this is, I have love for the commercial teams out there, the sales teams out there. So there is going to be that lens there just a little bit, but I think it's, less of a technology question, which is often where people go, and more of a relationship question, a trust question. There's no doubt the innovation that's going on right now is super exciting. What I think is more exciting in the space is how accessible it is. So whether you are a big company or a small company, we're all getting access to these really cool tools, which kind of changes the differentiator that they're supposed to bring in the first place, right? So now we're looking at, the people within these organizations using the tools, and how are we empowering them with trust, right? Trust in their everyday roles, but also trust to find how these tools work for them, and also to how to find trust with the partners they're collaborating with as they use them. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting dichotomy for sure, because a lot of emphasis is being placed on the former, but I do believe that it's the people that are going to bring organizations to the bigger picture as we move forward.
Yeah, that's cool. Tell us a little about what you were doing prior to coming to Thoughtium, and your decision to join this crazy bunch of folks.
Yeah, so I'd like to argue that I was in a pretty people-centric place before, because I was working with sales folks, and sales folks just love to get together and have a good time and talk about, how they can be better at their craft. So I was doing things like sales kickoffs, whether they're big or small, whether they're in incredibly fun locations or very practical locations, focusing on the learning, but also a lot of different commercial, upskilling, engagements, talking about how do we show up better for ourselves, for our customers, for our partners in the bigger picture. Really cool work, really human-centered work. If you think about it, the soft skill aspect in that sales space often gets a bad rep. They're not soft skills. They may be to some folks, but they definitely drive the ship forward and help people get to where they're going. going. Now, Thaudium jumped out to me because you have this big emphasis on the human aspect of all parts of the business, right?
Yeah.
So if I was able to have so much fun, right, and be involved in such great partnerships, help move people from A to B on their journey in growth and progress, it'd be really cool to do that on a team that's doing that, in every aspect of the work across all facets of the business. And the moment I stepped in, I know it's day 3, it's palpable in the space here. We have a few folks running around behind us, but there's more so heads down in front of us, having a good time. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. Do we feel like the let's call it the art of the sale shifts, greatly in the future, or is selling still evergreen, spit and handshake and features and benefits? Like, do we see the practitionership of sales really evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, it always has been evolving, right? It started with the hammer and the nail, and what are you actually selling in that standpoint? And there's definitely a few years when how do we come to the table really articulating our value really well was the big mountain everyone was trying to climb.
Right.
But these tools are making it really easy, right, to quantify the business impact from an enterprise partnership standpoint that we're able to bring to the table. So I think what comes next is how do we, from a sales perspective, from a commercial perspective, ensure that we're able to discern, the information that's coming from these AI tools, be able to verify that it's correct, and also be able to pivot on the fly when we are in those handshake moments, when our stakeholders on the other side of the table want to talk about something different or want to move in a different direction. It's easy to become comfortable. When AI becomes a little bit of a crutch, it makes things easier, and we can't let our muscles, from a professional sense, atrophy too much. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough uphill battle.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that we're most excited about is working with more commercial organizations to help them understand not just the future of work, but the future of how they are more effective in the marketplace. And we do believe that it's a nice combination of, bringing in new, technology to support, in this case, our sales efforts. But we're also seeing a lot of our clients, even more recently, say, hey, we're doubling down on a field team that goes and has the right conversations and understands the real challenges and issues of our clients. And we want you, Thought Team, to help enable those folks with what we call now universal skills, those skills that, regardless of how quick technology's moving, like we must have in order to keep that human connection alive.
If I could tag in and add one more aspect to that, you did ask me earlier, what else drew me to Thaudium? There's one other big piece, and Thaudium has such a rich history in the leadership space, right? And sales leaders, have often been underserved in that retrospect, right? They're really good at their jobs, so they get promoted up, and often they're just operating with a Superman's cape, trying to manage a forecast and a team of so many people with a couple angry customers. So the opportunity to take this great work that Thaudium has done and bring it to another population that can benefit from it greatly was also super exciting for me, and I'm really excited about the roadmap that we have set up going forward.
Don't forget the sales leaders. You get me pumped about this. So, I spent the first 10 years of my career in sales, and I definitely have a real soft spot for that role and just the expectations of that role in our organization. So we're so glad to have you aboard, and we're really excited to have you bring this lens to the work that we do. And I want to wish you luck on the rest of your first week and many weeks ahead.
Yes, appreciate it, Anthony. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I think that wraps up our episode of Navigating Now this week. It was one that, in true Navigating Now fashion, we said, you know what? We're all going to come together and very organically share our perspective. That really is the spirit of Navigating Now. Every week, you can count on us to show up for you all, our community, our clients, at 3 p.m. Central each Thursday. We want to thank all of our LinkedIn community, particularly, for tuning in. We see the views and the engagement go up every week, and we're just thrilled to be able to connect with you all this way. If you want to find this episode or any previous episode, you can even search for episodes at thoughtteam.com/live. And we'll see you all next week at 3 o'clock. Have a great rest of the week and an awesome